You know that. You, Samuel, on my left here. I'm quite excited for the game. We're off and running for a new season.
We are off and running in the sense of, I can't actually believe it is coming up so soon after the World Cup and everything else in between, but it does have that real feel now that we're here, Sam, that we're about to have a cracking season, hopefully.
Well, you were a lot nicer on air to Stuart than you were off air, weren't you? Do you notice that, Stuart?
I don't know what you're implying.
They think I'm an easy touch, but I tell you what, I am.
Listen, earlier on, I was saying to you, Stuart, I'll be your bodyguard, because we were walking through the streets of Cardiff, and there were, I mean, as you can imagine,
being
Stuart... mobbed.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, I'll play the heavy if I have to. But you're not like that. You're happy to have your photos taken.
You were pushing people away and shoving them in the face, and I was saying, look, I'm a man of the people, Nat. You know, I like the contact. She had to back off at that stage.
I did. You gave me a strong word, and I realised. Back off, indeed.
You mentioned, though, that even like walking through the streets of Cardiff this morning, there is a sense of anticipation. Everybody wearing their kits, their new kits for the new season, because that's what happens on opening day. And it does feel like opening day. It does feel a little bit early. It does feel like that, I think, even for some of the teams. And having done a few friendlies over the course of the last week or so, you've seen a bit of rustiness in some of the armouries as well. And, of course, we're going to have players that have only just come back that featured today as well, so they won't be completely at the top of their game. But it's important, isn't it? It's important for both these two managers, and they were quite keen to point out that it's not a friendly. Mikel Arteta called it a final. Enzo Maresca has banned the word friendly at the training ground. This is not something that is in his lexicon coming into this match. It's also important for him because it's his first game in charge. All the eyes of the world are going to be looking at him and going, hey, can he follow in the footsteps of the great Pep Guardiola? And, of course, the question about hunger. Can Arsenal go and retain the title? It took so much energy, so much heart, so much desire to get over the line last year. Are they going to have that again this campaign, or is it going to be a little bit like what happened to Liverpool?
I think as well, Sam, with Arsenal's turnaround of games, Sunday today, they're playing again on Friday.
Yeah, live on TalkSport.
At the end of this season, the turnover of points between champion and second might be only 1 or 2 points. So this game is vitally important to make sure that your team are ready for that start next weekend, let alone taking over, own some silverware and that type of thing. Make sure your team are ready for the start next weekend, because if you're not ready, you drop points in your opening game against, in Arsenal's case, certainly Coventry at home, that they'll expect to win and excite the crowd again and put a statement of intent down. All of a sudden, that might be costly come May.
It's really interesting when you talk about the importance of the Community Shield, and Pep Guardiola, and I know we'll have to at some point stop talking about him because it now is the Enzo Maresca era for Manchester City, but he would always say, this was a trophy I won, it was another trophy I won. He didn't dismiss it as a pre-season friendly in any way, so he always saw it as a significant trophy to win.
I don't think I've seen him, and credit to him for him, and I'm talking about Pep here, ever belittle any trophy. They talk about the Carabao Cup. His team won the Carabao Cup from memory as more than any team in the last 10 years or so.
It was almost theirs. They almost took it home with them, didn't they?
You know, and you saw the celebrations after the end of the game when he won anything. He had his staff on for a staff picture. He had the players doing their own pictures. He valued every trophy, and so you should. And you should value this one as well. I remember, actually, I think it was probably worth pointing out, Arsenal's record against Manchester City isn't great, and they last met in a final, obviously, in the League Cup final, where Nico O'Reilly scored those 2 goals. Arsenal bossed the game for the first 45-50 minutes, and then in the second half, Manchester City got those 2 goals and ultimately won it. But the Community Shield is usually Arsenal's preserve, but it's also usually the preserve of the cup holders, and they usually come in as the second favourites, whereas today, they're coming in with a lot more expectation on their shoulders.
Interesting to see Manchester City now out and getting used to the conditions here as they get a feel for this pitch here in Cardiff, and Phil Foden there on the sidelines as well. Jack Grealish is here amongst the squad numbers as well. A really interesting sort of few weeks, I imagine, for someone like Jack Grealish, because feels as though his future still perhaps may lie elsewhere, but still going to be involved, it seems, maybe. Yeah, very much so. I was with Moisey a couple of Sundays ago for a bit of lunch, and just asked him about Jack and whatever, and they're really pleased with Jack. Certainly his contribution in the first half of the season at Everton, and I think it gave him a lift going and playing at Everton last year, but the injury ruled him out to the latter end of the season. So
these couple of weeks are going to be vitally important. Will he be a Manchester City player, or will he go out on loan, or even be sold to another club? Jack needs to play some football. You know, that's the bottom line. He needs to play and play regularly. I think he loves the game, so he needs to certainly do that.
He's only got a year left on his contract, hasn't he? So, I mean, I think it's one of those where they're either going to cut their losses, they're going to loan him out, and then he's going to go off somewhere else at the end of the season. I can't see anyone parting with a lot of money for him if Manchester City are happy to let him leave. I think that maybe Manchester City are going in a different direction, but we shall see. Look, Jack Grealish needs to play football week in, week out. We need to see him more often. It's been a long time since that's happened. You're right. I mean, Moisey was happy about him, as Stuart's already said. The Everton fans really liked him for the first half of the season as well. It was so disappointing for him that at the back end of the season was succumbed to injury. So it'd be good to see him. There's a lot of new faces as well for us to look at today, isn't there? Which will be interesting, I think. Some new players in new shirts.
What are you trying to suggest?
I just think, it's just interesting, isn't it? You know, it's like the start of the season, you see these new players playing.
Getting used to them in these colours now.
Absolutely.
Like Elliot Anderson.
Elliot Anderson is one of those, very expensive player, and obviously a Nottingham Forest lad who costs a lot of money.
Well, he's another one of these players that sort of had to leave, didn't have to leave Newcastle, left Newcastle, and all of a sudden he's established himself. He's gone from that player, a young player leaving Newcastle, to a mainstay in the England midfield, you know. I thought he had a really good World Cup.
Yep.
He's had a brilliant couple of seasons for Forest, no doubt about that. He's got a move now to Manchester City, and it'll be interesting to see the dynamic with Rodri and him, whether Rodri will still be here, there's another one, and how he drives this midfield at Manchester City.
I'm looking forward to seeing Solis, that's who I was referring to, on the other side of the pitch for Arsenal, because the left side for Arsenal has been that sort of thing that's been nagging at the supporters for ages. You know, Martinelli, was he quite up to it? Eza, when he came in, didn't really play out there. He likes to play a little bit more central, drifts in a little bit from that left-hand side. They wanted an out-and-out left winger. Leandro Trossard did a brilliant job for them last season. He's now departed. Solis has come in. His pre-season form has been pretty bright, actually. So it'd be interesting to see how he gets on against one of the better teams in the league.
I mean, he had really good numbers at Club Brugge, didn't he?
23 assists, I think it was, last season, and he takes set pieces, funnily enough, and I think Arsenal are quite good at those.
Just a bit. It's really intriguing when you go into a game like this with two teams who have a lot to prove. They want to put down that marker. Is that something that players think about, Stuart?
You want to go into the start of the season in form. I mean, my day, I always used to like to play probably 90 minutes before I got to the season. The mentality isn't the same nowadays with modern day players and sports science and whatever. So it's slightly different. But what you do need, Nat, is to go into that first game of the season knowing full well that you're fully fit, you've done everything, you've not had any injuries in pre-season as best you can, and you've got good form that gives you that confidence on day one of the season. Day one of the season, you normally get out on the pitch, look at the opposition and think, Christ, they look fitter than me, they look better than me, and the sun's shining, you think, I'm blowing already, you know, and it's a psychological factor. And that's what you've got to conquer going into this first game of the season. And add to the mix all these players, and the vast majority of these players have had a big, long World Cup.
And that is a factor, no doubt. We will see with the team news when that is announced with, around less than 20 minutes to go. We'll get that team news for you. Let's hear from the Arsenal boss, shall we? Mikel Arteta, very quickly on this game. He says he wants to win, and to do so, lay down a marker for this upcoming season.
Well, that's what we want, and adapting to the circumstances and the kind of preparation that we had. But I said it the other day, I love the way the players have come back, most of them earlier than expected, really fit. We've done all the testing, and they all seem in great condition. And the moment that they started to look at each other, I said, look at the squad that we have and what we are building, is a lot of excitement around them.
So that was Mikel Arteta then on the importance of the Community Shield for him. and Arsenal as well in this upcoming season. Now, not only are we going to keep you right across what happens here in Cardiff, we're keeping you across the 2 games that are taking place too in the Championship, one of which is underway at Vicarage Road. There's been a goal already in this game between Watford and Southampton. Ian Abrahams.
Watford 1, Southampton 0. Ika Bravo on his debut is the man that's got the goal. He was played out towards the right-hand side of the ball, and when it was eventually hooked in field by a Southampton player, Bravo latched onto it about 30 yards out, ran inside the box, and from 6 yards out just dinked it over Daniel Perrett into the back of the net. Southampton have actually started quite brightly, but Watford have the lead. It's live on TalkSport 2 this game. It's Watford 1, Southampton 0.
Ian, thank you very much. A little bit later, Burnley take on West Ham in the Championship as well. That is a 4 o'clock kickoff. We'll build up to that one a little bit later on before kickoff here in Cardiff. Just talking about Arsenal then, and Sam alluded to it earlier on, where they finally got it over the line. They finally won it, the Premier League under Mikel Arteta. How hard do you think it's going to be for them to retain that title, Stuart?
Well, I think a couple of things play into their hands. Firstly, I think there's instability amongst their rivals with new managers coming in. Now, that instability might be a good thing. We don't know. We're surmising. Pep leaving Manchester City, we've seen it many times before. Brian Clough, Alex Ferguson, you name it. All of a sudden, there's a turnover from a dynasty, and things tend to drop off slightly. And you might even say, when Klopp left Liverpool, he left things in a good tack. They won the league the following year, but it dropped off drastically after that again. So maybe they had a sort of a good year, and then the drop-off come. So there's a lot of unknowns with their rivals, Arsenal. I think what he's done, the way he's looked at the transfer market as well, he hasn't sort of looked at his clutch of players that have won him the league and said they'll be good enough to roll again. I think he's trying to shake things up. Whether he's brought enough players through the door as yet, there's more to come maybe, but I think he's looking at it and saying we've got a great opportunity here to now maybe 2 or 3 or 4 Premier Leagues in the next few years.
No one ever retains the title, apart from Manchester City. The last team to do it before Manchester City were Manchester United 2008-9. You know, the fact is that it's a difficult thing to do, and Chelsea, Liverpool have shown that over the last 10 years, that is very, very tricky. He spoke on Friday about the fact that there is an opportunity now to go and add. It's whether or not those deals can be done. There's a lot of players that Arsenal have acquired that they don't want anymore. And until they start being able to ship those out, I think it is more tricky to do those extra deals. They missed out on Morgan Rogers, which is a bit of a shame for them. I think they thought at one stage that they were going to get him. They have ended up with Solis. They've spent a lot of money on Bruno Guimaraes, and I think they do need 1 or 2 other additions. I think they're crying out for another centre-half, because unfortunately I do think that Saliba is going to be out for some while. And the bedrock of their title challenge last year was their resilience in defence, and if anyone's watched any of the games in pre-season, that has been something that is of concern.
And no doubt they'll be looking at potentials of incomings, certainly. But you mentioned Bruno Guimaraes. What do you think he brings to Arsenal, Stuart?
Well, I think he's got character and leadership. That's the first thing I see. You know, he's got presence on a football pitch, and I think that's really important when you're pushing for titles and pushing for long runs into European competition. Players with that mentality are vitally important to you. He can create, he can score, definitely. I just think he's one of these players that can knit together. When you look through Arsenal's ranks, he can be a match winner himself. Eze can be a match winner himself. And all of a sudden you go through their ranks and there's players there that can score goals, create goals, and are match winners on their day. And that's vitally important in those close games where you need a little bit of inspiration. Your team maybe not playing particularly well. Everyone's found a newfound respect for Arsenal. They are the league champions, and with that all come a really difficult backlines to break down as such, you know, which they experienced last year. I get that, but it's going to be even more acute this year, and you need those killers that are going to actually do that and open up defences, and Guimaraes certainly falls into that category.
So we've got Bruno Guimaraes, a new signing for Arsenal. We've already mentioned Elliot Anderson, likewise for Manchester City. We'll talk about his strengths and why City were prepared to pay as much as they did for him to join the club. And countering what you were just saying earlier on about the instability, perhaps it's the stability of Arteta and Arsenal that could help them to go on and retain this title as well, given that he's, approaching 7 years in charge now?
Is he the longest serving in the division at the moment?
By a
mile, which is ludicrous, really, in footballing terms, because everyone craves stability. Arsenal have got that. With all these people belly aching about Arteta second, I honestly said, that is fantastic. It's a building block. All of a sudden, they've won this now, and you think the doorway's open for whatever they want, Arsenal. They've just got to have the hunger, and he's got to continue to push those buttons to guarantee there's hunger on the pitch with his players.
You mentioned that he's the longest serving manager, but I do think that if you look through the list, and I haven't got it in front of me, but I reckon something like the 9th longest serving manager is Marco Rosa, who was the manager of Bournemouth, and he was only appointed in May.
That is, it says everything about football.
Much has changed for going into this new season, certainly. Not only is it player changes, there's managerial changes as well. It is a 3 o'clock kickoff then for this Community Shield that kicks off this Premier League season as well. It's Arsenal taking on Manchester City, and it's live on TalkSport.
Dream Team is the Sun's fantasy football game, and it's back to make every moment matter this season. From clean sheets to cards, assists, and the all-important goals! Just pick a team that picks up points, and you could win a share of £100,000. Download the free app to make every moment matter with the Sun Dream Team. T's and C's apply, 18 plus only.
Why are you abseiling down the front of your house, Ross? You have a staircase.
I like doing things the hard way, Albert.
Try something easier, Ross. Get cheaper off-peak energy. It's available at different times, like during the day or weekends. Just get a smart meter and choose a flexible scheme or tariff.
Ooh, I could batch cook some quiche.
Perfect. With a smart meter, getting cheaper energy is easier than you think.
Eligibility varies. Action required. Schemes and tariffs available to selected customers.
Jamie Carragher.
Busy.
David Prutton.
Busy.
Gary Neville.
Very busy.
Micah Richards.
Getting his hair cut.
Of course he is. Kelly Cates.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Now busy.
So no one from Sky Sports can do this radio ad?
Yeah, but have you seen how many matches they've got this season? They're all just too busy.
Fine. I'll do it myself. Sky Sports have got 1,500 live matches this season. Search Get Sky Sports to find out more.
That's not bad, you know.
Do you reckon I could get on the telly?
Don't push it.
Well, there goes that dream.
Have you had your fill of filling up at the pump? Switch to a Verizon electric van and you can save up to around £2,000 a year on fuel versus diesel. And with the Verizon SV, you'll save an extra £10,000 when you buy before the end of September. Ditch the diesel, embrace electric, start saving. Visit verizonauto.co.uk. Born electric, built for business. Offer on retail orders only, T's and C's apply. Fuel saving based on 12,000 miles per year in a Verizon SV L1H1 83 kilowatt-hour model. See website for details.
Dream Team is the Sun's fantasy football game, and it's back to make every moment matter this season. From clean sheets to cards, assists, and the all-important goals! Just pick a team that picks up points, and you could win a top prize of £60,000. Download the free app to make every moment matter with the Sun Dream Team. T's and C's apply. 18 plus only.
I'm Sean Dyche, and I've teamed up with Aqua to share a credit-building game plan. 1. Avoid giving away a penalty. Missing a payment can cost you, so stay on the ball, pay on time, and keep your finances in play. 2. Find a coach. When building credit, you're not playing alone. With Aqua, you could get the support you need to reach your goals. Search AquaCard and get that better credit feeling.
Representative 39.9% APR variable. Credit issued by New Day Limited. 18 or over. UK only. Subject to status. Terms apply.
Welcome back to the Coral Fan Derby. They're all here. First up, the badge-in blokes. Arms down, badges rested. Well deserved. Football fashionistas next, putting that vintage away shirt back in the wardrobe. Last out, the armchair experts, remote in hand, ready to sit this one out. They've all called a timeout with Coral's play break tool. Oh, what a decision! From play breaks to deposit limits and more. We're here for safer gambling. Coral, we're here for it.
18 plus, gambleaware.org.
On 1089 and 1053 medium wave, on DAB online and on your smart speaker.
The FA Community Shield.
Fantastic goal!
Arsenal versus Manchester City.
Live on TalkSport.
And TalkSport this afternoon comes to you live from Cardiff for the Community Shield. It is Arsenal taking on Manchester City. It is the curtain raiser, as they always say, to the new season as well. We were expecting team news at 2 o'clock, but Arsenal have delightfully gone early for us with their 11 that they have gone for. So let's bring you the all-important Arsenal team news then with your match commentator for today's game, Sam Matface.
Yeah, I think the biggest headline really is that Miles Lewis-Skelly starts the game for Arsenal, bearing in mind the noise that has been around him over the course of the summer. Fascinating that he is part of the starting 11 today, maybe sending a message. He scored in the midweek game against Como that he's going to stay. Noni Madueke is back as well. Bruno Guimaraes starts in the heart of midfield. Victor Gyökeres only on the bench today, so Kai Havertz will lead the line. David Raya is the goalkeeper at the back four. Ben White plays at right back in the absence of Jurrien Timber, who is on the mend but might not be back until after the first international break. Christian Mosquera is asked to partner Gabriel in the heart of defence with Ricardo Calafiori at left back. In the centre of midfield, Bruno Guimaraes and Miles Lewis-Skelly. Ødegaard playing in the 10. Madueke on the right, Zolis on the left-hand side, and Kai Havertz will lead the line for Arsenal.
OK, Sam, thank you very much. As soon as we get the Manchester City teams, of course, we'll bring that to you to confirm it all for you as well. But interesting that Miles Lewis-Skelly starts this one, as Sam was saying, with reports and suggestions that maybe his future will lie elsewhere. What do you make of that, the fact that he might have to leave Arsenal?
I'm quite surprised, to be fair. I think when he come onto the scene as a left-back, broke into the England squad as a left-back, you thought, oh, this could be the next Kenny Sanson here, you know, for England and Arsenal. He played a fair bit at the back end of last season, though, didn't he, in the midfield slot? So that told me that when the pressure was on and they were chasing the title, that he did trust him to go and play that position. I would always turn around and say, why would you leave one of your best talents, who might and should have his best years in front of him for improvement, leave the football club? I don't get that, I really don't. Even if you're talking about balancing the money and that type of thing, I would still want the best youngsters who you've had a chance to influence in their informative years, keep them with you and keep them at the club.
Well, Alex Crook, our chief football correspondent, is with us here in Wales as well, and keeping right abreast of everything that's happening in this transfer window. What do you think about Miles Lewis-Skelly? What do you think is going to happen with him?
It's a really interesting situation, because after we reported on TalkSport that Lewis-Skelly had been offered to both Chelsea and Manchester United, and that was stood up by sources at both those clubs, Arsenal were pretty quick to say, we don't want to sell Miles Lewis-Skelly. It's not us who are offering him around, but I think it was intermediaries just seeing if there was a market. That tells you that maybe he fears he won't get regular playing time this season, particularly with the arrival of Bruno Guimaraes in midfield, which he sees as his best position. They need to sell somebody, Arsenal. Leandro Trossard has obviously gone to Turkey, but for a relatively modest sum. We know that they've offered Gabriel Martinelli to Galatasaray. He himself rejected that move to the Turkish Premier League. Not in the squad today, though, Martinelli, which I think is quite telling. So they have to sell someone. I think they'd rather it was Martinelli than an academy product in Lewis-Skelly. I also fear for the future of Ethan Nwaneri. Obviously went out on loan last season, didn't pull up too many trees in that loan spell at France. I think his future probably does lie elsewhere. Yeah, it was interesting, though, wasn't it? Because when he was talking about the two players after the game against Como, Mikel Arteta was a lot more effusive in his praise of Nwaneri, and he talked about how improved he was from the player he was last summer. Whereas with Miles Lewis-Skelly, he was a little bit cooler in the way that he answered the questions about his future. I wonder, I don't know how long that Nwaneri's contract is, but I wonder if Nwaneri will end up getting a loan move this summer and end up coming back next. Whereas Miles Lewis-Skelly looks a little bit different.
2030, his contract runs out.
Well, there you go. So I think I'd be surprised if they cashed in on him, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think a loan deal probably is more unlikely. But again, you look at the strength in depth that Arsenal have got now in that midfield area, particularly with the £75 million acquisition of Guimaraes. It is very hard to see where Nwaneri would fit in. I guess what Lewis-Skelly can offer that he can't is that versatility, because he can play at left back, he can play in midfield, which for me makes it a no-brainer for Manchester United, because those are the two positions that they're trying to fill, United, between now and September the 1st, and actually you get one player to do both roles.
Listen, that's all about players these days, the versatility that they can provide, which seems to be the golden touch for so many of them when they get those moves as well. Now, ahead of today's game, there's no doubt that both teams' summers have been defined so far by the signings of stellar midfielders. For Manchester City, that's Elliot Anderson, who arrived in a club record deal from Nottingham Forest, whilst We've already spoken a little bit about him. For Arsenal, they signed the Newcastle captain, Bruno Guimaraes.
Arsenal have agreed a deal with Newcastle United for Bruno Guimaraes in a fee reported to be around £75 million. That's a 4-year deal.
And it's a brilliant opportunity, I think, for Arsenal this year. I really do. So by adding statement signings like that, I just think it adds to the power of your group, because everyone thinks, right, we need to go again. You know, we need to up ourselves again.
With Bruno coming in, that will make the midfield better, no doubt. And if they're going to battle on all fronts in Champions League and winning the Premier League again, when it's a great time, by the way, to try and go back to back.
Squaring for Anderson, and Elliot Anderson makes it 5-0.
So Anderson's coming in, and he's the one that's going to be taking that sit-in role in front of the back four and trying to be playing progressive football.
Good signing for City. Really interesting, particularly if Rodri leaves, and he's a terrific player. I think there's a lot more to him. I think you're getting a player at a great age for City for the next 10 years. Perfect.
So we've spoken a little bit already about Bruno Guimaraes. Let's speak about Elliot Anderson then, and why Manchester City were happy to pay that club record fee for him. And when you consider, Stuart Pearce, last season at Nottingham Forest was such a turbulent season for them, with the fact that they had 4 head coaches in 1 year, to still be able to shine like he did. And let's not forget, obviously, he lost his mum as well, so he had his personal problems, unfortunately, that he had to go through too. But he has been a player that has been so consistent. It's no surprise that a big team was going to come in from at some point.
Yeah, I think we all knew he was going to leave. Certainly the locals of Nottingham knew that he was going to leave potentially. I think he's gone with their blessing in many ways. They understood that the finance was a brilliant deal to take. If there was any question mark I would have, and I'm going to throw this out there now, Calvin Phillips has just gone on loan to Sheffield United. And he was the equivalent of Anderson ability-wise, I think, when he joined the club. I thought him and Rice for England were brilliant, Phillips, and he's dropped off a cliff for whatever reason. I don't know what it is, for whatever reason. Anderson's got to make sure, A, that doesn't happen, but with what he's done at Nottingham since he's been there, he's been unbelievable. His arrogance, in a good way, on a football pitch for England and club level is incredible, and I think he might be the signing if they do release Rodri. And if I was them, I'd probably move Rodri on now if they get the finance for it. I think that makes financially good sense for City. It frees up a pathway. And what do you do with Anderson and Rodri if you don't? I think they're sort of, you know, are they going to get under each other's feet as such? If they're both at the club, or you feel obliged to play both of them, does that affect what you've got further up the pitch? Who knows? But I expect him to be a great signing for Manchester City.
I mean, it is interesting, the whole Rodri situation, Alex, and maybe you can bring us more on what you know of the very latest on that.
Well, we reported on talksport.com yesterday that this move to Barcelona was getting closer. The two clubs closer now in terms of their valuation. It will be a deal worth £60 million plus for Manchester City, and I feel like Stuart, they believe the time is right to move Rodri on. He's only got a year left on his contract. He hasn't shown any inclination to sign a new deal, so this is really the last opportunity to cash in, and it's going to be a domino effect, this transfer, because we know City themselves are quite advanced with Lille when it comes to Ayoub Bouadi, one of the stars of the World Cup for Morocco, and also despite the fact that Chelsea were telling us on Friday the deadline to buy Enzo Fernandez for £120 million is gone, Manchester City certainly don't believe that deal is dead. So my prediction is that Rodri goes and they use that money. Obviously we know that the other midfielder is going to Saudi Arabia.
Tijani Reinders.
Yeah, so they'll get the money in for Reinders, they'll get the money in for Rodri, they'll spend it on Enzo Fernandez.
OK. We'll come back to this conversation, but there's been another goal for Ian Abraham at Vicarage Road.
Watford 2, Southampton 0. Another debutant has scored for Watford after Ika Bravo's early goal. This one, Amin Nabinzia, and I've got to say, it's an outrageous goal. He's sent clear down the right-hand side, the Afghan, and he's run inside the penalty area. It absolutely looked like he'd overrun it, and he should pull it back inside the box for 2 or 3 running in on it. But instead, he made a beeline for the near post, and he's beaten Perez across goal from his near post. It's It's an absolutely audacious finish from him, and his first game as well for Watford, and inside half an hour he's scored. Watford are absolutely buzzing the Hornets here. It's live on TalkSport 2. Southampton are in trouble. Watford 2, Southampton 0.
Ian, thank you very much. Sam, I know you're desperate to ask a question. Go on.
Well, we're going to do the team news in just a second, but no Reinders today, no Akanji today, no Savinho in the squad today, but Jack Grealish is in the squad today. So I just wondered whether or not, Crookie, that means that those three players may be on their way out, bearing in mind that all three of them played in the previous friendly.
Well, we know Reinders is going to go. That deal is pretty much agreed. I would expect Savinho to go to Tottenham. That, again, is long-standing interest going back to last summer, and we know that Roberto De Zerbi is keen to strengthen in the wide area. He's not heard too much about Manuel Akanji, but you're right, I think it's quite telling that he's not in the squad today. Jack Grealish is a really interesting situation, because my understanding was, speaking to people close to Grealish, that actually he was still quite away from full fitness. So I'm slightly surprised that he's involved today. Everton would like to re-sign him, but I think they would prefer a loan deal rather than buying him permanently. That doesn't really suit Manchester City, because, as you already said, he's out of contract at the end of this season. He does have offers, Jack Grealish, from the Saudi Pro League, but I think his preference would be to carry on in the Premier League.
OK, well, that is a one to watch, certainly, and we still have a few more weeks, certainly, to go in this transfer window. Let's bring you the Manchester City team news now, having brought you Arsenal's, about 5 minutes or so ago.
Yeah, we kind of given it away round, really, haven't we? There's quite a few changes from the last 11 against Atletico Madrid out in Seoul on Sunday, August the 9th. Kusanov is back in the team. O'Reilly starts, so does Anderson, so does Doku, and so does Erling Haaland. So it's Donnarumma in goal for Manchester City. This is the first team sheet under Enzo Maresca. Kusanov, Diaz is the captain, Gvardiol and O'Reilly, Kovacic and Anderson in the middle of the park, with Semenyo, Foden and Doku behind Haaland in attack. Interestingly, the benches are quite fascinating. Rulli is the new goalkeeper, who's going to be the backup to Donnarumma. They got him from French football. Marc Guéhi is on the bench. Marmouche, Cherki, Gonzalez, Ryan Aït-Nouri, Matheus Nunes, Rico Lewis, and one Jack Grealish, which I think is fascinating too. Just a quick word on the Arsenal bench. We didn't mention it before. Kepa Arrizabalaga is the reserve goalkeeper. Nketiah, Saka, Eza, Gyökeres, Merino, Zubimendi is back as well. Declan Rice is back too. And Max Dowman.
I mean, I think it's fair to say both teams are pretty stacked when you're looking at the lineups and the options on the bench as well. But Manchester City then, this is the Arsenal keepers just making their way out to warm up in front of those Arsenal fans that have made their way early into the stadium here. David Raya, of course, part of the Spain World Cup winning team then, leading those keepers out here as well. When you look at this Manchester City lineup then, Stuart, that Enzo Maresca has gone for, obviously there's not going to be much change, because there hasn't been that many changes in terms of, certainly, incomings anyway. There have been a few outgoings, as we know, with Bernardo Silva leaving the club, or John Stones as well. But he was left with a pretty healthy squad, wasn't he? Let's be honest.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. There was all this talk about Pep. Is he building a new team? Semenyo coming in and Marc Guéhi coming in, and there was the makings of a new squad being built, and that's why people thought Pep might be hanging around a bit longer than he actually has done this summer. But I still feel as though the important thing for me is not the personnel, it's the style of play. Okay. I know that Maresca has been, working within the club, working with Pep, that type of thing. Will he adopt a similar type of playing style, or try and change that slightly? And just going back, if I can, the point about Rodri and Rodri possibly leaving the club, there was a statement, I think it was a portion to Arsene Wenger in his time, and where I thought Arsene Wenger was a great manager, he moved players on before they just went over the hill and started to go down. And I think he had a statement, and maybe I've just made this up. if their legs are going to go, let them go on someone else's pitch and not mine. And someone told me that was a saying that Arsene Wenger used. I don't know whether it was or not, but it's a wise statement in football. It's not just who you sign and how good they are, it's when you move those players on at the correct time.
I guess the only caveat to that is if you watch the World Cup, it didn't look like Rodri's legs had gone, did it? It looked like he was very much back to his best in that tournament.
Yeah, no doubt about that. He was outstanding, but if you feel as though you've just brought Anderson in and you've got two players that are in a similar type of position, you've got to somehow... One's got to move, and it ain't going to be Anderson, potentially.
I mean, you look at Rodri, and he's talked previously about players maybe having to go on strike because of the sheer number of games that they have to play. And when you consider the physicality of the Premier League, it kind of makes sense they might want to look to move elsewhere, maybe to Barcelona, to Spain, where he probably isn't going to have to play every single game as well because of, obviously, the superiority of Barcelona in comparison to most of that league.
Well, what I would say to you now is the intensity of English football is there for all. You know, you never have an easy game in that. I get that. But with Anderson coming in, if Rodri does stay, I can see him not being wheeled out to play as many games as he did under Pep, because he was a player that he played every game when he was available. He was so important to Manchester City, where he juggled the pack on occasion for other players. Rodri, not one of them. Or nor Silva, by the way, when he was at the club, Bernardo Silva.
Well, again, it's going to be an interesting few weeks of this transfer window to see what indeed will happen with Rodri and indeed all the teams still looking to strengthen, no doubt. There's plenty more to come here from Cardiff as we continue then this build-up to the Community Shield between Arsenal and Manchester City. Kick-off is at 3 o'clock and it's live here on TalkSport.
Dream Team is the Sun's fantasy football game, and it's back to make every moment matter this season. From clean sheets to cards, assists and the all-important goals! Just pick a team that picks up points and you could win a share of £100,000. Download the free app to make every moment matter with the Sun Dream Team. T's and C's apply, 18 plus only.
Boost. Next to them, the Prawn Sandwich Brigade. Oh, they've shaken up a free bet after that free lunch. Play Coral's free reward shaker to win bigger guaranteed daily rewards and offers this season. Coral, we're here for it.
18 plus UK max one reward or offer per player per day. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Reward restrictions and T's and C's apply. Gambleaware.org.
At Amazon, over 50% of deliveries now come with less packaging or with no added packaging at all. It's a difference you'll notice on your doorstep, where you chat with friends, where your neighbour's daughter practices guitar, and where we deliver your new noise-cancelling headphones in the manufacturer's packaging. Ah, much better. Reduced packaging from Amazon. We're delivering change where it matters, on your doorstep, based on 2025 Amazon packaging data across the UK and EU.
There's an easier way to get ready for the new Premier League season. Pick up The Sun on Sunday for a free 32-page Premier League guide, packed with fixtures, facts and stats for all 20 Premier League clubs. It'll have you match fit in no time. Get your free Premier League guide today, only in The Sun on Sunday.
Wasn't much of a holiday, was it? You took the laptop, you packed the charger, you even shoved the mental load of next week's payroll right into your hand luggage. You spent the whole trip bracing for an urgent email. But a break isn't a break if you drag the office through the departures lounge. A real getaway means leaving work exactly where it belongs. Employment Hero handles your rotas, timesheets and overtime automatically, so work doesn't follow you. Off you hop.
Live football coverage that's beyond compare.
He fires in a beauty.
The FA Community Shield.
Arsenal versus Manchester City.
Live on TalkSport.
Well, we are a week away from less than a week away now from the first game of the new Premier League season, but it officially gets underway today with the traditional curtain raiser that is the Community Shield, which is Arsenal against Manchester City, and it's live here in Cardiff. We'll get to that as to why we're here in a little while, but the sun is shining, not as hot as it's been over previous days. It's still pretty warm, but it feels certainly nicer than what we've had to experience in more recent sweltering conditions. Arsenal goalkeepers are out warming up right now. They're the only ones out there currently. But the team news are being read out, and it's the Arsenal team news that's being read out, and you can maybe hear the fans cheering in the background as every name was read out. And there are fans slowly but surely making their way into this 70,000 plus seater stadium. Let's just get you the recap headline team news with our commentator for this one. It's Sam Matterface.
As far as Arsenal are concerned, they've got 2 new signings in the starting lineup, Solis and Guimaraes, for the first time here at the Cardiff, what was the Cardiff Arms Park, but is now the Principality Stadium, the Millennium Stadium before that, for the Community Shield, which they traditionally love to play here. They start with David Raya in goal, Ben White, Mosquera, Gabriel and Calafiori the back four. Bruno Guimaraes and Lewis Skelly are the 2 in midfield, with Noni Madueke, Martin Ødegaard and Christos Solis behind Kai Havertz in attack. For Manchester City, Nunez drops to the bench. Kusanov will play at right back in front of Donnarumma. Diaz and Vardiol, who formed a decent partnership last season, are back together again. Nico O'Reilly is the left back. Elliot Anderson starts alongside Mateo Kovacic in midfield. Antoine Semenyo, Foden and Doku are behind the returning Erling Haaland in attack. On the benches, Saka, Gyökeres, Eze, Rice, Subamendi, all back for Arsenal today, waiting in the wings, as is Mark Gay, Omar Marmoush, Ryan Cherki, Nico Gonzalez, Nuri Nunes and Rico Lewis. Plus, the headline, I suppose, is that Jack Grealish could well be wearing Manchester City colours again today.
Sam, thank you very much. Just looking then at the lineups in more detail, Stuart Pearce, who is alongside me here in Cardiff. If you're looking at the number 9 option of Kai Havertz that Mikel Arteta has gone for, what does that tell you then about the preference of Kai Havertz to Victor Gyökeres? Because we actually saw last season that when Havertz came back from injury, it seemed as though he became the natural number 9 option, first choice option for Mikel Arteta. So what does that mean for Victor Gyökeres as well?
In team selection today, I don't think it means a great deal. I think what he's got 2 centre forwards that Gyökeres, his goals were good last year and he improved as the season went on. I don't think there's much to choose between the pair of them. If I was managing both, it's almost like you fight it out between you. I'll pick the one who's playing better at any given time. And if you're not playing well, you can come off and your mate can come on and take your place and change the game. So I still think that I'm totally not convinced by either.
Right.
Now, they're of a good standard, make no mistake, a good Premier League standard. But I think if you want to dominate this league, if they went for the next lineup, what is the next one up the food chain? Is it Haaland? Is it someone of that ilk, you know, that you can guarantee 25 goals, 30 goals a season from them? All of a sudden, Arsenal would look like a superpower.
I mean, we talked about it before, that finding a striker these days is so very, very hard. Not only is it very hard because they're a rarity, but everybody's trying to find that one gem, if you like, and it seems it's so difficult to find the striker that can hit the ground running. It
is the toughest position on the pitch, that's why they get paid the big bucks up there, and that's why, unless, as they say in any league in the world, points equate to goals. If you score 20 goals, that's 20 points for your team. Simple as that. So you need the goals in your team. And I think for a couple of seasons now, certainly before Arsenal got their hands on the Premier League trophy, people were saying they need a centre-forward to get them from second to first. I think they managed to do it. Gyökeres' goals helped certainly last year, and having 2 strikers up there where Jesus was a little bit hit and miss maybe, has been integral for them. But I still feel as though if there's a top quality striker in, you can imagine the thought process of those around Arsenal that are chasing them this year. If a real frontline striker come in to add to what they've already got, it will put the lights out of 1 or 2, I think.
And then when you look at Manchester City, Phil Foden, he had by his standards, maybe not as great a season last season. Didn't get in the England team, hence why I'm suggesting by his own standards it wasn't a great season for him. He's just signed a new 4-year contract. Enzo Maresca has spoken quite glowingly of him as well, Sam. This could be a fantastic season for Phil Foden even.
Yeah, well, it's got to be really, hasn't it? because last season wasn't great, and the season before that wasn't great either. Since he was the Player of the Year, I think at the end of 2024, he sort of dipped quite significantly. And the fact that, if you think about it carefully, if I'd said to you after England had got to their first final in many a year in 2021 that Phil Foden would not be in the England World Cup squad in 5 years' time, not because of injury but out of choice, you would have said to me I was absolutely bonkers, because at that time he was the great white hope of English football. He was the superstar, the poster boy, but it has gone a little bit south for whatever reason. I just wonder whether the change of manager will freshen things up. Playing centrally will really help him. I don't think he got to play in that number 10 position enough. He needs to make that his own at Manchester City, and if he can do that, then there's every chance that he thrives and grows again into the player we know he is.
Yeah, I think there's a lot hanging on him this year. Listen, it's no surprise to me that he signed a 4-year contract. They almost do that, not rewarding him for good form this day and age, just to safeguard their financial outlay if he leaves the club. But I think there's a lot of pressure on Phil to deliver this year. If I was in his shoes and missed out on a berth on a 26-man England squad this year, that is a damning indictment, I think.
Do you think we can get that Phil Foden back then? The one of, you're talking 3 seasons ago.
Yeah, you certainly can. What age is he now? He's not a pup anymore. Is he 27, is he?
He's not. He's 26 years of age.
26. He should be in the prime or coming into the prime of his life as a professional footballer. And I hope I'm right, and I hope that's the case for both club and country.
But the statistics for the last season are bad in that he got 10 goals, right?
Yeah.
But all 10 of those goals came in his first 21 games. After that, he didn't get any in the last 29. That's... and Manchester City were better in the back end of the season than they were in the first, arguably. So that's a real concern. He needs to hit the ground running.
But when you're talking about Jack Grealish potentially, maybe being reinvigorated by a new manager, could the same be said for Phil Foden then, with a new manager? Not to belittle, obviously, what Pep Guardiola has done for Manchester City, but an element of staleness can creep in, can it not?
Yeah, I mean... Pep looked after Phil really. I mean, there was a lot of talk when Phil first come onto the scene. Should he go out on loan? Should he not? Pep said no, he stays with me, he trains with my team. Was that the right call, or was it not? I don't know. We would never know. Maybe that experience away from Manchester City might have served him well in those informative years, potentially. But I think from Phil's point of view, if someone said to me, what should Phil Foden do this summer? A new voice at the helm might be a good thing for him. If not, for me, a new challenge elsewhere, and maybe on the continent. If I was advising with no dog in the fight, I would say to Phil, go and play abroad somewhere. You know what I mean? Follow some of your teammates in an England shirt that have gone to Germany, Spain, wherever, and see how that develops your game.
Well, let's actually hear from Enzo Maresca, shall we? Because after losing the Premier League title by 7 points to today's opponents, Arsenal, the Manchester City boss knows it's up to him to close the gap this season.
Arsenal show in the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years that they have been always there. It's a fantastic team, well managed, well coached from Mikel. And again, last year they won the Premier League. They show how good they are in this moment, but at the same time, we are City, and we're gonna try to close the gap and try to compete again.
How tricky, very quickly, just one question on Maresca, how tricky do you think this spell is going to be from this new era, if you like? We've obviously alluded to it previously. It doesn't always work. When a new manager comes in, you can talk about Unai Emery at Arsenal, David Moyes at Manchester United. It took quite a while for any manager to really get going at Manchester United. But still, how difficult do you think this could be for Maresca?
I think it's a difficult challenge for him. Yes, the plus is he's worked alongside Pep inside this football club. He knows the runnings of it. That's the plus. The downside of it, the dressing room are used to the intensity that Pep drove this team. And make no mistake, I looked at Pep on occasion and thought he's bordering on lunatic, the way he's, the intensity that he works. Is it sustainable? He certainly made it sustainable and kept driving this team I think only time will tell on that. But when there's been a long dynasty, sometimes there's a drop-off afterwards.
It's not going to be as fun doing the post-match interviews at Manchester City, that is for sure. Because Pep Guardiola, it was like going, and I don't know if you've ever done it, but you know those bucking broncos? You used to you jump on them and hold on for dear life. I know Crookie's all over those, as we saw in the summer when he was out doing colour. It was like that. You go into the ring, you jump on and you just hope that you can survive for longer than a couple of minutes, because he was like that. Whereas Enzo Maresca is not. He hasn't got the level of charisma. He hasn't got the ability to engage as much. And actually, one of the criticisms, if there have been any, of him has been the style of football. Not entirely. I think a few Manchester City fans not entirely sure about that just yet, because it is a little bit of a slower build-up. It's not exactly the same. So we'll see. We'll see what happens over the course of the season. But let's be completely honest, right? He's got the opportunity to take over one of the best squads in the country. 3 seasons ago, he was the Leicester manager in the Championship. It's absolutely fantastic. What a great opportunity. He will be absolutely delighted. And the reason he was quite happy to walk out on Chelsea and cause such a fuss is because he knew he was going to get this job.
I was just about to say, he had plenty of time to watch Manchester City in detail, knowing that he was going to be getting this job when Pep was going to be walking away. And the interesting thing as well, Alex, if I could bring you in, Alex Crook, our chief football correspondent, there is talk of Enzo Fernandez coming in, a player, of course, that he would have worked with at Chelsea. It kind of makes sense that he might be going back to some players he knows he can get the best out of. Now, he is quite a divisive figure, though, Enzo Fernandez.
Very much so. He was booed by a section of his own fans yesterday. I wonder if that might just help accelerate his departure from Stamford Bridge. Obviously, that 5 o'clock deadline on Friday has passed. Chelsea were saying anybody who wants to sign Enzo Fernandez had to make their written £120 million offer by 5 o'clock on Friday, or the deal will be off the table and he would stay for the season. Let's see what happens between now and September the 1st, because certainly Manchester City will point to Enzo Fernandez's own move to Chelsea, and that happened very late, if you remember, on transfer deadline day from Benfica. So certainly this story has legs to run, and maybe not just him, because we know there's interest in Pedro Neto as well. Sam has talked about the absence of Savinho from the squad today. If he is sold, don't be surprised if Enzo Maresca goes back in for another of his former Chelsea players. And by the way, 15 seconds on a rodeo. That's good going. Is that how long you lasted? 15 seconds. And that was after 1 or 2 American pale ales as well, was it?
And by the way, that bullock is still in intensive care, by the way.
Were you wearing the hat
I
at
was
the time?
thinking about that.
No, I didn't want to crush it.
Oh, got to protect the hat at all costs, indeed. Look, let's find out what's happened in the Championship game that is now at half-time. It's Watford against Southampton. Ian Abrahams.
Half-time Watford 2, Southampton 0, and 2 debutants on the score sheet for Watford. The first goal was scored by Ika Bravo on 11 minutes, little dink over Daniel Peretz into the back of the net. The second by the Afghan international Amim Nabizada just before the half-hour mark. Southampton of Leo Cienzo was on the end of a crunching tackle by Hector Cipriano, or indeed up front.
So it is Watford then going well in the game against Southampton. Then we'll bring you second half updates, of course, as and when that gets underway. Next,
we'll get
look
bucked
ahead
off by the Broncos.
Yeah, something like that. Next, when we look ahead to the other Championship game, that'll kick off a little bit later on. That's Burnley against West Ham. That's live on TalkSport 2 for you at 4 o'clock today.
Quick Fit's range of Bridgestone tyres gives you peace of mind, because summer should sound like this, and less like this. Because with the Bridgestone Turanza all-season 60s 25,000 mile guarantee, your summer can sound like this. Quick Fit. Drive away happy every time.
Why are you abseiling down the front of your house, Ross? You have a staircase.
I like doing things the hard way, Albert.
Try something easier, Ross. Get cheaper off-peak energy. It's available at different times, like during the day or weekends. Just get a smart meter and choose a flexible scheme or tariff.
Ooh, I could batch cook some quiche.
Perfect. With a smart meter, getting cheaper energy is easier than you think.
Eligibility varies. Action required. Schemes and tariffs available to selected customers.
Coverage that's beyond compare.
He fires it a beauty.
The FA Community Shield.
Arsenal versus Manchester City.
Live on Talk Sport.
And the temperature has just gone up a little bit here in Cardiff because Arsenal have made their way out onto the pitch then to warm up for this Community Shield. And it's fair to say these Arsenal fans are so excited to see their team. They were loud when they came out. And they were very loud when Manchester City came out. But it wasn't pantomime season. They were, though, booing Manchester City when they made their way out here in the Principality Stadium. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff for this traditional curtain raiser. We'll build up to it and continue to build up to it throughout the show. But right now, let's concentrate on a game you can listen into live on TalkSport 2. It kicks off at 4 o'clock. It's the second of 2 championship matches taking place today. And at Turf Moor, Burnley, West Ham face each other. And Chris Iwelumo is there for us. Chris, how are you?
Good afternoon, Natalie. Very, very good. Thank you. Yourself?
Really well, thank you. And this is obviously really intriguing when you consider these two teams know each other pretty well from last season and beyond as well. And Burnley, let's start with the home side, shall we, quickly, in the sense that last season obviously did not go to plan in any way and they went straight back down again. And their home form was part of their undoing. They won just 2 of their 19 home league matches last season. New manager in place as well. How do you rate their chances of going straight back up again, Burnley, Chris?
Well, yeah, I think it's going to be very difficult, Natalie. I think when you look at Nicky Hayne, he's come in only 5 weeks pre-season as well. He's trying to kind of instill a confidence in a group that it was absolutely shattered. You know, they got relegated and rightfully so with the performances. No win in pre-season. There wasn't really a convincing performance against Notts County, and this is the welcome to the Championship with an absolute bang with the favourites coming into town as well. So I just feel that I've got to see adaptability. He's got to show that in the way that he plays. He wants to play a possession base, but again, you've got to look at the opponents. You've got to understand that West Ham are coming to town. They are probably going to dominate the ball, so you have to then be hard to break down, be compact, but in that transition, when you get the ball, it's then can you showcase the way that he wants him to play. I don't see that at the minute. He wants to go all out, and I think there's a high chance they're going to get picked off today. But you look at recruitment, you look at the attributes of the players that he has, I don't see physicality there. You know, I see it and I understand why you probably doesn't have a plan B, because he wants to get the ball down and play with those small technical players, but they're going to get asked a few questions in the Championship physicality wise.
West Ham, of course, come into this with knowing that Jarrod Bowen is staying around. Nuno Espirito Santo, of course, confirmed that he was going to stick around as well. How important are those two in terms of a statement for West Ham and then trying to get straight back up again?
Yeah, massive. You know, I think Nuno, he knows the league, he knows what it takes to get out of the league. Jarrod Bowen, you know, you're looking at a Champions League player playing in the Championship, so rightfully so. He leads, he enjoys that responsibility, the captain's armband, and he leads by example. He does things right. So yeah, that's the coup signing. They've invested a lot. Obviously, they've made a lot of money in their sales as well. So there's going to be a lot of players coming in. There's There's expectation, and rightfully so, for them to go bounce straight back. But now, can they get the fans on board, play with an attractive brand of football as well, but getting results? There's no better feeling for fans, players, the same, walking into a dressing room after picking up 3 points, and you know what, consistently. And this is a real opportunity for them today, go out and get a statement result as well. And when I'm looking at the quality and depth that they've got, the players they've brought in, obviously Manor Solomon, you know, I just feel that Ingles as well, for me, what a player he is. It is quality, it is heading in the right direction, and I just feel that they will take this league by storm.
And bear in mind that the Championship playoffs now go down to 8th position. We're going to have quite a battle to see who will finish in those playoff spots. Are you thinking that we'll definitely see West Ham and we'll see Burnley in those playoff spots come the end of the season?
Yeah, well, I think when you look at the Burnley side, I think it's at least I think Burnley will be looking at the playoffs with the squad that they've got. I know there's going to be players going and players coming in, and it's just how well Nicky Hayne can adapt to what the Championship's all about.
OK, Chris, we look forward to hearing you on TalkSport 2 then, when you are part of our team then for Burnley against West Ham. Thank you very much. That one kicks off at 4 o'clock, the second of 2 Championship games taking place this afternoon. Remember, Watford 2-0 up at half-time at home to Southampton. Let's speak to Stuart Pearce, of course, former coach at West Ham as well. It's really intriguing. I mean, I'll ask you about Jarrod Bowen, because someone you would know well, and how important was it and significant is it for West Ham to keep hold of him?
When you get situations like being relegated at the end of the season, you need to send a message out to your fans that, look, we're coming back next season. And Jarrod Bowen, the captain of the football club, signing a contract, albeit he might have a year's tolerance in it, you know, and a release clause, but fair enough to him. Out of all the people that I've worked with, and I've worked with some very good players and some good individuals as people, Jarrod always struck me the sort that if anyone's going to stay and fight to get that club back in the league, it'll be Jarrod. It was no surprise to me, put it that way, that he decided to stay on at the end of last season. And that is a massive lift, because he has the ability, as he showed when he was at Hull before we took him to West Ham, to score goals in that division. He scored goals in the Premier League. If he stays fit and plays the majority of the games, you expect him to get somewhere in the region of 20-odd goals a season, which will be vital for West Ham. They've been thrown a really tough starting game here, away at Burnley, another relegated side. So there'll be a confidence team, West Ham, this year. If they make a good start, if they can get a win today and a couple of results on the board early days, I think they could sail through this league. Otherwise, it can get a little bit tetchy at the Olympic Stadium.
Oh, it certainly can. I mean, you talk about the pedigree of the Championship of Jarrod Bowen, but in Nuno Espirito Santo, you've also got a manager there who's been there and done it and got a team promoted as Championship winners, as he did with Wolves. And they played a great brand of football that season when they went up. How key is that, to have a manager that knows how to get a team out of the Championship?
Well, it's vital. As I say, they've kept Jarrod, and I've given him a tickle about how good it was to keep him. Certainly the same can be said about Nuno. He doesn't get overly excited. I like his demeanour. I sort of spoke with him on occasion when he was Forest manager, and I like what he does as a manager. And keeping him there and the stability that offers as well was really, really important. They've had changes there, Karen leaving, David Sullivan leaving as well, the changeover at hierarchy level, and it's important. I, for one, I know I'm biased, but I'd love to see them back up after a year back into the Premier League again.
As you say, tough game for them to start things off with that trip to Turf Moor, then to take on Burnley. 4 o'clock it gets underway on TalkSport 2. Let's check in once more, though, with the other game that kicked off a little bit earlier on. Watford against Southampton. Ian Abrahams.
Watford 2, Southampton 0. The opening Watford goal by Ika Bravo on his Hornets debut arrived after 11 minutes. A little cute chip over the goalkeeper, Daniel Perez, from 6 yards out. And the second goal was scored just before half-time. Amin Nabizada, the Afghan international, seemed to have overrun the ball on the right-hand side, but somehow again squeezed it through the near post and through Perez into the back of there. Southampton, who came here as one of the favourites to get promoted from the Championship, have been desperately disappointing. Sienda's barely been spotted, nor Larin and Dobbin up front. They can only improve in the second half. At the break, second half, by the way, will be on TalkSport 2. At the break, Watford 2, Southampton 0.
Ian, thank you very much. So it's a busy day on TalkSport 2 of Championship action, but here on TalkSport we have the Community Shield for you, taking place between Arsenal, the Premier League champions, and the FA Cup winners, Manchester City. It kicks off at 3, and that's live right here with us on TalkSport.
Virgin Media Sports Bundles. Yeah, they're for the fans. Including Sky Sports HD, F1, Netflix, Sky Atlantic, and ultra-fast broadband. That's stacks of football, tennis, and cricket, and plenty of racing too. All for great low prices. Yeah, low. Visit virginmedia.com. New customers only. Virgin Fibre areas. Restrictions and credit checks applied. Netflix terms of use applied. Terms apply.
Magnum welcomes you to the premiere of its new collection. Introducing their latest signature designs. New Magnum La Pistache, covered in a newly crafted pistachio shell. And New Magnum La Pêche with a vibrant peach shell. Both pieces crafted to reveal a velvety gelato core and beautifully finished with Magnum's thick cracking chocolate. Designed for pleasure.
Dream Team is the Suns' fantasy football game, and it's back to make every moment matter this season. From clean sheets to cards, assists, and the all-important goals! Just pick a team that picks up points, and you could win a top prize of £60,000. Download the free app to make every moment matter with the Sun Dream Team. T's and C's apply. 18 plus only.
Your call is important to us. You are currently number 25 in the queue.
25? Seriously?
Sounds like Ojo time.
Nice idea. Feel the fun with Play Ojo, the online casino with all the latest live casino and slot games. New players get 50 free spins on Big Bash Bonanza, plus instant payouts on winnings.
Sorry about the wait. How can I help?
You can help me celebrate. I won.
Feel the fun. Play Ojo.
First deposit only. Most wins are instant. 18 plus. Gamble aware. T's and C's apply.
Sunday afternoon. Championship football on TalkSport 2.
Oh, what a thumping diving header!
Burnley versus West Ham.
And he scored an absolute beauty.
Coverage from 3:30. Kick-off 4 p.m.
He has scored yet again.
Sunday afternoon.
Live Championship football
on TalkSport 2.
The final countdown then to the start of the 2026-27 Premier League season is on. And it all gets underway today with the curtain raiser that is the Community Shield. It is Arsenal against Manchester City, but to come Friday night, we bring you the first game of the new season when Arsenal host Coventry, who are back in the top flight for the first time in 25 years. That one is live, kicking off at 8 o'clock then Friday night. And then we go again for another frenetic season, no doubt. But we're here in Cardiff where the sun is shining and the two teams are out here still warming up for this 3 o'clock kickoff. And the fans too are certainly gearing themselves up for this one as well. They've all said it's not a friendly, and you can sense that already with the fans here providing some decent atmosphere, it has to be said, already as well. So it's going to be competitive, it's going to be interesting. Let's go through the lineups once again with your match commentator for this one, Sam Matterface.
And of course we've got returning stars coming back from the World Cup for the first time, but might not necessarily be ready to start. Some of them haven't, and that includes the likes of Declan Rice, Martin Zubimendi and Bukayo Saka, who were left out in the starting 11 for Arsenal, but it's a very strong team. David Raya is back and in goal, and Ben White, Mosquera, Gabriel and Ricardo Calafiori make up the back four. In midfield, Miles Lewis-Skelly and Bruno Guimaraes, and that's significant because there's been a lot of talk about Miles Lewis-Skelly and his future and whether that is going to be with Arsenal. Noni Madueke plays off the right. Christos Solis, the brand new signing, starts off the left, having had such a productive spell at his previous club in the Belgian league, Club Brugge. £34 million his price in the summer. Martin Ødegaard plays in the 10 behind Kai Havertz, who leads the line. Arida Balaga, Nkapie, Saka, Eza, Gyökeres, Marino, Zubimendi, Rice and Dauman are on the bench. For Manchester City, it's the first game of the Enzo Maresca era. He names a very recognisable starting 11. The biggest addition is Elliot Anderson, £116 million from Nottingham Forest. He starts for the first time today. Donnarumma is the goalkeeper. Kusanov goes out to right back. Diaz, Vardiol and O'Reilly the back four. It's Kovacic and Anderson in the centre, with Semenyo, Foden and Doku behind Erling Haaland in attack. On the bench, Rulli, the new signing, in goal. He's the backup goalkeeper to Donnarumma this year. Mark Gay, Omar Marmouche, Ryan Cherki, Nico Gonzalez, Ryan Aït-Nouri, Matthias Nunez, Rico Lewis and Jack Grealish. Officially, Savinio's got a mild illness.
OK, thank you very much for that update. Now, while Sam was giving us the team news, Stuart, I know you were keenly observing the warming-ups of the two teams. And Arsenal, and in particular, the little pocket of defenders, something intrigued you there with what was going on?
Yeah, I looked at Arsenal last year and looked at Heinze and how he, on the coaching staff at Arsenal, how he's tasked with dealing with the defenders and the back four and working with them. And last year, he really caught my eye watching him. Sometimes you look at coaches on the pitch and they go through a warm-up or whatever, and there's no real intensity. Everything I see him do with Arsenal and the defenders, the little team talks with them, and the intensity he works, I really like that about him. And I think, and I don't know, but looking at his interaction in the 40 minutes leading into kick-off. I bet on a training pitch and behind the scenes, he's had a real big influence on this title win last year.
Well, it did look like they were really feeding off that sort of intensity from him, just in that little spell.
Yeah, he's that type of character. You could tell that with the way he works. He's in their faces, you know, the collective. He's doing it now as we're looking. It's, you know, two players are just playing the ball from distance, 40 yards. Coaches can switch off at that stage. He's not letting them. He's in their face. He's keeping the intensity and getting the mental state right now. Look, he's over with Gabriel now. He's in that mental state and getting them in the right frame of mind to start a football match.
Yeah, he was giving Mosquera a bit, wasn't he, just a moment ago. And it's fascinating, actually, because at some points last summer, when things maybe, I don't know, spill over in the tunnel, he was at the heart of it.
You don't know that, though, do you?
No, I just, you know.
You're just surmising what you heard on the grapevine.
As Stuart said, he is that kind of character. He is involved. He's in people's faces. He doesn't give a quarter and he won't ask for one either.
So we're talking about the now, but I know, Stuart, you also wanted to talk about who you see as a big miss to Manchester City, one of the players that left this summer.
My favourite player over the last few years has been Bernardo Silva in the Premier League, bar nobody. The reason why, he punches way above his weight and size on a football pitch. He runs probably, I don't know the stats, but he's close to 13 kilometres per game. He runs more than anybody. Pep never left him out. Never, ever left him out. Even at his age, when he was getting on a little bit, never left him off the football pitch. And he drove everything. You could play him out wide, he could go past people, or draw two players to him and he would lay the right ball off at the right time, at the right way. He was just everything that I looked at in a professional footballer and thought was absolutely correct. Low maintenance footballer as well. And for me, I think he could be a major, major loss this year, you know, of Manchester City. I really do.
I mean, there are so many factors to pick up on there in what they're missing, but when you're missing also the experience that he had in that midfield, it could be decisive when it comes to those key games, those key moments when you're lacking someone that has that nous who's been there and done it.
Well, it's those marginal games, you know, where push comes to shove and he can move him around as Pep did. He can move him, play him a deep line midfield role. We can play him wide on the right, plays him as a number 10. You can play him wherever you want, but the one thing Pep didn't do, take him off the pitch at any given time, you know, in all of those marginal